Howdy, South Texas on KLUP, 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Also on 6:30 a.m. The Word on Saturdays at 11 o'clock in the morning. Also, check out our show on Sunday afternoons, KLUP 9:30 a.m. at 4:30 in the afternoon. Hey there, Houston. It's Todd Marquardt with Talk Law Radio, KNTH 1070. You can find us there, also on Facebook Live, YouTube, and talklawradio.com. Now it's time to discover your legal issue blind spots by listening to me talk about the law on the radio. And today we're going to be talking about South Africa with Johan. But first is the financial focus segment with Jacob Warren. Jacob is financial planner with Financial Planning HQ. Him and his team with Steve and Jacob, they work alongside each other to create inspiring financial strategies for families and business owners in San Antonio. Jacob has been a financial advisor for over 10 years and is passionate about helping young business owners plan their financial success. Jacob loves the outdoors and, most importantly, being a husband to his wife, Catherine, and father of their two kids, Arthur and Camille. Jacob, thanks for joining us.
Yes, happy to be here again, Todd. Thank you.
Continuing with last week's segment on helping young business owners, what are a few things they can do to get ahead of the game for their own personal financial planning?
Yeah, great question. I think this is going to sound very simple, but the easiest thing, first step to do is to just start investing in general. Start out small, whatever you can afford when you're just starting out, and get into the habit of doing those contributions, whether it's monthly, biweekly, whatever it is that you're doing, and build that habit and get used to it. That way, once you start making more and more money as a business owner, you get used to increasing that. And it has, let's say you open a business in your 20s or 30s. I mean, you've got 30, 35 years of compound interest on your side. Also, there's like a multitude of tax benefits along the way, especially as a business owner, to saving lots of money. So it's just a great habit to build. And I recommend to people, even if you're just doing $20 a month, $50 a month, just start doing something, build that habit, and it'll really help you out in the long run.
You know what I found that worked for me is to have it deducted from my paycheck.
Yes, it makes it a lot easier for the people that are not business owners. But when you actually have to, write the check, we don't write checks anymore. But send it yourself, it's different.
You can still do it the same way.
Yeah.
You just have an automatic deduction from your payroll.
Of course, yeah.
If you run the payroll yourself, or if you don't, just get with your payroll company or your CPA or your bookkeeper,
right,
and ask them, how can I have this go from my business bank account to my personal financial investment account?
Exactly. To something you can't touch for many, many years, which is good to stash it away. Another good thing to do is to hire a great financial planner, financial advisor who can kind of surround you with a team of experts, whether that's attorneys or CPAs, bookkeepers, like you mentioned, and have those people giving you high quality advice on what to do. Because as a business owner myself, I can attest to that. There's just so many hours in the day. There's, so much you can do. Not worrying about the financial part of your personal finance, and having somebody do that for you is a huge benefit and time saver on your end as well.
Yeah, well, hiring a financial advisor sounds complicated.
Right.
What are some good questions to ask a potential advisor?
Yeah, so very, very important when you're interviewing financial advisors. The first question I would ask after going through that initial consultation would be, how much money in dollars and cents is this going to cost me? And how do you make money? It's vitally important to ask that for multiple reasons. But number one being, you want to make sure that your advisor is charging you a flat fee. I think that's the best way to work with a financial advisor. That way you know exactly what you're paying. There's no like commission-based sales products and things like that. But the most common is, the assets under management model, where an advisor charges you 1%, but it's good to know what it is in dollars that you're paying. Cause if you're not a big money person, you just hear 1%, you say, okay, that sounds fine, but that adds up a lot over the years.
Right.
Something else I would ask an advisor is, outside of money management, what else do I get from working with you? And are you able to help me build a team of experts that can really make sure that myself as a business owner am protected against multitudes of risk, and that everything is taken care of and you have a good team behind your back giving you quality advice.
So what subject matter experts do you collaborate with to get high quality advice?
So there's a few estate planning attorneys like yourself, Todd. It's great to have an attorney on your side that can give you advice, bounce ideas off us, make sure that you're not making any huge mistakes and that you are protected. For a business owner, it is incredibly important to work with a good CPA. And if that CPA is also a bookkeeper, that's great. But if you're working with a separate CPA and a separate bookkeeper, it's important for them to be on the same page. An insurance expert. So, if I go through a financial plan with a client and I see, okay, you need some liability insurance, you need your, E&O, you need some life insurance, I can kind of direct you, contact this person. This is the exact type of policy that you need, and here's why you need it. And have that person kind of go through the underwriting process and all that. So you have kind of like an outside eyes looking on everything that you have and giving you advice in that way, which is great. And of course, the big thing with financial advisors, everyone's like, managing assets, money manager, you want to have a good asset manager on your team giving you good advice, making sure that you're not, too conservative in your investments or too aggressive, just right in accordance with your risk tolerance.
Right.
And just one more thing on that is having all of these subject matter experts communicating with each other is a huge benefit to your clients. And I can talk about yesterday and today. So yesterday we had a meeting with one of our ideal clients, and we had everybody on her financial team in one meeting discussing a very serious event that happened in their life. And everyone's on the same page. The money manager knows what he needs to do. The CPA knows what he needs to do. The attorney knows everything that's going on. So we're communicating and having all these people know exactly what to do when things happen. And that's a huge benefit. You don't want to have people in silos. You want to have everyone working together.
That's really great
Mhm.
because I just experienced the opposite recently where I had to be the quarterback. The CPA is in a city far, far away.
Mhm.
The financial advisor's local, but they've never met each other. And there's been a life event that necessitates everybody to communicate. And so I had a meeting with each one of them to find out what information they had that I needed. And then we're going to have another meeting with all of us together, but we've never met.
Right.
And so it leaves me wondering what's been happening all of these years, that they have been operating in silos, and
Right.
what could have been the result if we had all been in communication over the last 15, 20 years.
Exactly. And I think as a financial advisor, that's kind of like your job, right? You mentioned the quarterback. That's my position, is making sure that everyone's on the same page, working together, giving you the highest quality advice. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think that professionals know a lot of people, but I'm not sure that they're always on the same team.
Agreed. Yeah.
So if you can pull that off, I think that that's a good reason to call Jacob.
Yeah, definitely do call. If we want to have an initial consultation, we can certainly do so. But that's the level of service we offer at Financial Planning HQ. Whether you work with myself, Joseph, or Steve, we all do the same thing.
Awesome.
Yep.
What else can we expect when you work with a client?
The biggest thing that we offer, we do the financial planning, of course, and as a result of that, you get advice. So you get really just a document of these are the things that you need to do to be successful, and these are the things we want to start working towards. The biggest thing that my clients pay me for, and this is what I tell my clients when they hire me, is you're paying me for the accountability piece of it. These are recommendations that I'm making to you to be successful. You're paying me to do so. We need to get these done. And the accountability, making sure that clients do the things that they need to do, is the biggest part of my job. And that's the biggest benefit of working with us.
I've seen some of my own clients that, might not take my advice. They think that their financial advisor is just offering suggestions for them to consider. And I'm wondering the same thing you are. If you're not going to take advice from a professional that you've hired, then what are you doing?
Why are you paying me? Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, yeah, that's what we're getting paid money to do.
So outside of traditional money management, what are other services that you provide?
it's really the coordination and collaboration like we spoke about earlier. So making sure that your team of subject matter experts is all together working together. The money management is just a part of it, but our goal is to get our clients' financial house to a perfect 10, to where they know that regardless of what happens, market downturn, somebody passes away, things like that, they are taken care of and they have a direct point of contact that knows where everything is, which would be our team, and really just help them be successful. So it's a lot more than money management. It's a very important, but it's a small part of what we do.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, we're ending the segment, so I'd like you to tell our listeners what you can offer them. Do you have any resources?
I do. I have a financial planning book that I offer to clients, complimentary, of course. It does come with an initial 20-minute phone consultation where we talk, about values and goals. We're not talking about products or, trying to sell you anything. And from that, we can see if we're a good fit to work roadmap meeting, which is really our process starts there. And it's a great conversation, about an hour long, where we talk about your values, goals again, and really put everything on paper. It's really a great experience. And if you would like to schedule one of those, receive the book and consultation, the phone number to reach me at is 210-444-2128.
444-2128. All right, we got to take a break. Next up, we'll be talking about South Africa. Stay tuned. In the beginning, God had one law: don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then he gave Moses the 10 Commandments. And now we have municipal, state, and federal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws, laws that might impact you without you knowing it. So listen to Talk Law Radio every week on the radio, on Facebook, or on YouTube. the YouTube videos are broken up into different segments, and so it's easy to watch or listen while you're walking the dog, doing the dishes, or building something in the garage. Check out Talk Law Radio on YouTube so that you can subscribe to the channel so that you get notified when new episodes are dropped. Today we're talking about South Africa with Johan. Forgive me, Johan. Your last name, you say it better than I would. I would say Coetzee.
It's a common way of
Is it?
mispronunciation.
Okay, how do you say it?
Coetzee.
Coetzee.
Yeah,
Coetzee.
Johan Coetzee.
Okay, well, phonetically, that's how it looks to me.
Yes, that's
Yes,
common.
Coetzee.
Great.
Okay, well, welcome to the show. Joseph is
Thank you.
joining us because he's a scholar. Joseph's a former scientist. Tell him briefly about your experience because he's got a scientific background as well.
That's
so-
awesome. Yeah, I have a background in my bachelor's in biochemistry, and I went to graduate school but didn't finish at UCLA for organic chemistry.
Mhm.
But just found while I was there that I didn't like it, so I should have done like an internship or something to
Yeah.
test it out beforehand. But yeah,
Yeah, it's advisable.
And so now he uses science people with their financial planning.
yeah. Me and my brother, and my father, we use a scientific approach to test out different things, simulations to see what makes the most sense for a client's finances.
Science always makes sense.
Yeah.
Well,
So sometimes. So Joseph, or I mean, Johan, tell us where you're from.
well, I'm from the Northern Territories up in northeastern Southern Africa. Most people, when you tell them you're from South Africa, they say, "But what country?" South Africa is a republic. It's a country on its own. It's a southern tip. I'm from the northeastern corner up there, close to the Botswana border. I was born closest town would be Tabazimbi, Mountain of Iron in English. Like I say, it's predominantly Tswana people, tribals. Is Tswana, the Botswana tribe. We speak Tswana and Afrikaans. I'm an Afrikaner, or a Boer, as some people will call it. I was born and raised there, and then you have to, in high school, go to bigger towns. Was raised high school stage through in Rustenburg, which is a big mining town. Then after school, went and did the walkabout where I met my wife and came back, and then I lived outside of Johannesburg in a small little beautiful village there.
Okay. Can you compare the size of South Africa with the United States or maybe one of the states?
Yes, so South Africa is about slightly larger than Texas.
Okay.
It's about 1.5 times the size of Texas. Not a full half, like one and a third.
Yeah, well, that gives our listeners
Yeah.
some visual about how big it is. Is it a modern society? You mentioned tribes. When I think of tribes, I think of like living outside.
Well, so compared to the rest of Africa, it's very modern. It's a first world feel. The cities are modern. It's square. It's mostly clean. Parts of it is dirty, but rubble and pollution. Not.
Okay.
It's very new. It's a new country. You know, when I walked into my first rustic burger joint, I thought, oh, this place is old and dirty. By us, it is square, clean, and very
Okay.
very modern. There's Wi-Fi on the streets, the big cities, but not the whole of Africa is like that, and not the whole of South Africa is like that. You can have that first world feel, and an hour down the road, you're amongst lions and elephants
Really?
and small towns and dirt roads and thorn trees and big spiders, lots of snakes. Yeah, but it's very modern, very up to date. All the systems is great systems. Yeah.
You've been in San Antonio for a few years now, and you probably noticed that there's whitetail running across our modern city. Does that happen in South Africa? Do you have some of the wild animals coming to town?
Not really in the suburban or metropolitan areas, because our wildlife is a little bit different than yours. It's quite a bigger and more dangerous. We got small antelope like whitetail and so on, but I mean and we'll get to that part of the conversation. But because of the high unemployment rate, that's food. And
I
nobody's
see.
going to let that impala or springbok walk in that neighborhood. It's going to be eaten.
Okay.
But you just go outside of town, and from time to time you'll hear on the radio a hyena has escaped, or a crazy baboon is on the loose. And
Oh, wow.
baboons and monkeys is everywhere. But there's now and then something will wander into that metropolitan area, but it's not common. There's a lot of mountains in the suburban areas also, and in there you'll find a duiker and maybe a reedbuck or something like that, but not like here. We have herds in the suburban area. Tempting for me, and I want to stay on the right side of the law. So
Yeah, yeah. In San Antonio, we're not allowed to shoot the whitetail.
Oh yeah, just get out the car. And
yeah,
No,
no.
That's a no-no.
you mentioned, you mind if I hop in?
Go
You
ahead.
mentioned high unemployment rate. I'm curious, how does the economy of South Africa differ, in your opinion, from what you see here in the United States? Like, how is the economy over there?
Oh, it's not. You can't compare it. It's completely different. I mean, what have we got here? 4% unemployment rate.
Yep.
Highest 7 during COVID, etc.
Yeah.
So 65% of our youth, now that is the young people that is driven to find a job, is unemployed. 65%.
Oh, yeah.
Now that varies a little bit. And again, I said I'm not going to go on specific numbers, but that is a number close to my heart. A very close friend of mine, David Pariachi, works with the youth. He works with big telecommunications companies to create opportunities for this youth out of a bucket of nothing.
Mhm.
Because those people are so resilient and they want to go. 65% of them is unemployed, so it's entrepreneurs and things like that. And then of the adults, we're running at, I think, a 45% unemployment rate.
Oh wow.
And I mean, yeah, so what similarities in the economy, you're going to have to ask me more specific questions because it's so different.
Yeah.
Completely
Well,
different.
is it agricultural or is it like manufacturing?
Mining mostly. And that's the dead horse that everybody's flogging. You know, it is mining, mineral import, export predominantly. We also are big food providers for the rest of Africa. We do manufacture vehicles in there for the rest of Africa. So there's a few big plants of that, but mostly it is tourism. You won't believe it with the crime rate, but it's tourism and mining. It's our big economy contributors.
And so tell us what you did there. What was your career? What was your field?
So for the last 15 years, I worked as a medical gas specialist. A large corporate scooped me up, and I started a company for medical gas. It was a rocky road, but within a few years, we were the largest of our kind on the continent. I had a drive. I was hungry. I traveled all over the world, gaining experience and knowledge, and I just became the crutches of all of the private and public medical hospitals when it comes to oxygen. I don't think that there's anybody that wouldn't know my name there. So
Wow.
I worked tirelessly 24/7, and my wife was part of the reason when we got here, saying no more medical gas.
Oh, okay. Because you were working too many
Yes.
hours a day.
Yeah, and diving before that, I was a commercial diver and a recreational diving instructor, adventurer.
And so how did you get to that point, avoiding all the other traditional parts of the economy like mining, agricultural, manufacturing? How did you find your way to where you were?
I just am not a good follower. I find gaps and spaces, and I've people say to me, "Why don't you just get a job and stop being a beach bum?" I like the boating, I like the ocean. I had and up until I had children, I didn't feel that drive to earn more money. Money is not what drives me. It definitely makes it better, but it's not what drives me. So I just followed my passion, and I just got dumped from one place to another place, and doors just opened for me. And even from young, my friend's parents says, "Johan, you'll go far because you're committed and you're a hard worker." People will recognize that, and just people pulled me into positions and into opportunities.
Okay.
That's how I avoided it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you for saying all that. We have Johan here from South Africa. He's actually from there, and we're going to be asking him some more questions about what it's like there. You've probably heard about South Africa in the news about different tragic things going on there, and Joseph is going to give us his perspective about something he knows about it. But again, it's Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt. Johan's here, Joseph's here. And then I'm going to ask you, why did you come to the U.S.? And that's a big question, because it's going to lead us down some of the reasons that other people are coming to the U.S. or want to come to the U.S. And so, Joseph, tell us again what you do, just so the listeners know why you're here
Yeah,
and why you're interested.
I'm interested because I was interested kind of thinking about Christian persecution. I was thinking more around those lines. I was going to ask questions about
You
that.
have a strong faith. And
Yes, as
you-
well as you, Todd.
Yeah,
Yes.
and you
And-
worry about other Christians worldwide. Well, we have to take a break, so stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt. We're talking to Johan about South Africa. Joseph Warren is here. You know, his family sponsors Talk Law Radio along with Marquardt Law Firm. They have a financial planning HQ. And Joseph just is curious by heart, and he wanted to join the fun. This is the Sinners and the Saints segment. It's okay to dance. The song is playing. So the reason I like to talk about the sinners and the saints is because there was a famous theologian named Martin Luther. Did you learn about Martin Luther?
Didn't learn about him, but I am married to an American, and she taught me about Martin Luther.
Oh, okay. So he said that each one of us is a sinner and saint at the same time. We're all sinners, but because of Jesus, we're forgiven and absolved, and that makes us saints. So I like to talk about somebody that did something wrong and somebody that's doing something great. And I promise we'll get back to the question of why did you come to the United States? But first, I want to ask you, who's responsible for all of the problems that are going on in South Africa? And you can start anywhere you want, Johan. And you don't have to name somebody in particular, but what I should have said is who or what started it.
Yeah, I think the same as what I'm feeling here. So now, yeah, I can pull some comparisons. What I feel here is there's a middle people that want to be together and can find middle ground and want to go forward and create what is best for everybody. The same in South Africa. I lived with a Zulu neighbor on my left whose child lived in my house. I built a ladder over the wall so that I don't have to lift them over.
Okay.
And on my right was a young banker, English South African, very different from an Afrikaans South African.
Mhm.
But You know, there's no problem. I didn't grow up in what you see in the media. Yes, I did experience it. There's big tension. There's huge tension. But for me, it feels like the media there is not even that intellectual to take most of the part. It's the politicians. The politicians keep the masses uninformed, give them something to be angry about, and then they react. Because as you know, that the Afrikaner and non-black communities are in the minority. We are 10% of the nation, and that is broken up in different stuff. So the looting of government funds and the looting of these government institutions, our post office is gone. We can't keep the lights on. The water is dirty. These were first world facilities and institutions. Our national air carrier went bust.
And so how long did all of that take for things to get so bad?
It 20 years, then it started falling apart. The last 10 years has been really bad. So I think politicians keep the masses uninformed, keep them angry at the white man and apartheid while they loot. Because if they spend all the money, there will be a lot less anger. There would still be money in the land bank to buy farms back for the people, because you can't take a guy who owned a farm now, chase him off. You can't suppress one ethnicity to uplift another. You can't do that. So if there was enough money, everybody would have, this black economic empowerment would have gone a lot smoother. But with empty wallet, what can you do for your
I
country?
see there's corruption.
I blame corruption for all of this.
Yeah.
Most of this.
Okay. And so is there a saint to be seen, somebody or something that can help correct these problems in the immediate or even in the long-term future?
In the immediate, I don't think so. I think this thing is gonna work it out. So by the people living there, because not everybody has an option like me to go. As you know, my wife is American. My children were born to American mother, which makes them American. It was quick for me. Most people do not have that option. So you are creating now a super breed. Okay, you're creating somebody who's resilient to this crime, whose children are integrating. So in the immediate future, I don't see a rider on a white horse, but I see the youth. I see beautiful young people from all ethnic groups coming up in that country, and they're going to lead it. My children's friends are going to lead that country to new heights, because there is enough for everybody. If the money is spent right, we don't have to pay for school or tertiary education. You shouldn't have to.
Joseph, have you ever heard the term inspirational dissatisfaction?
No.
I think it comes from Napoleon Hill.
Oh yeah.
Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
He said that if somebody was dissatisfied enough, they would become inspired to create change. And I
Yeah.
think that's what you were talking about
I
with the
think,
youth.
yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
No, the youth, I mean, even me, there's still a lot of angry people around my age on the far edges of the spectrum, the left and the right.
Mhm.
So there's still a lot of anger there. But amongst the children, there's a beautiful thing happening. If you look at our school rugby, we are the rugby world champs for 8 years now, and we're probably going to take the next Rugby World Cup as well. The sports unite us. There's so much that unites us. But then you feel so happy, and you drive in your car, and the people look at you, and the taxis want to kill you, and the people don't want you there. And then you have to think, this is not the people at my house. This is not the people at my work. This is strangers that don't know me, that is angry. They're listening to their radio station. That's aggravating them.
Mhm.
Did they pray this morning? Did they ask God to guide them through their day? Because if they did what I did, we would have all been smiling at each other. But, you know, politics and things, there's just so much bad. There's so much hate going on, and I'm hopeful that will dissipate as those older generations that's stuffing their pockets become older. I think
Yeah.
that will move.
Yeah, we
move
can
along.
pray for that.
Mm.
Tell us why you left, how you got to San Antonio.
If you asked me in 2019, would I go live in the States? I'd say never. I've been visiting here. I've been here a few times. Thought I knew it. didn't at all, by the way. But then my wife got deported. After living in South Africa for 17 years, they found a little niggle in paperwork to deport her, ban her for 5 years. It was a rough time for my family while I was building two of the largest hospitals South Africa has ever had. There was a lot of pressure, and anyway, we got it overturned quickly, not through government, but through connections. But while she was here, I said to her, start the process, because I felt how vulnerable it is. My family got ripped apart in my face so quick.
So you said that she had to leave and you stayed behind with the kids.
Yes, they couldn't go with me, but she had to be self-deport.
And then you found a way to bring her back, but then
Yes.
decided not to do that.
No, we did bring her back. So that was in 2019. I ended up in our Minister of Foreign Affairs office, Aaron Motsoaledi at the time. His secretary, I snuck into the building. There was just no way I'm gonna let my wife for 5 years, even for 6 months. I was not gonna take that.
Mhm.
And now the passports have expired. You need both people there for the kids' passports to be renewed. I went to the High Court. There was nothing I could do. I was stuck there. And I put within these hospitals together, one number to the other number, and I got, and 3 months later they flew her back. She's a permanent resident now, but I will never forget that feeling. And she was back in about 3 months, but shortly after that, we had the 2021 riots when the Zulu King died and the previous president was sent to jail. They burned the country. I think it was 21 July the 10th. I mean, they burned malls. It was my work was chaos. The riot, they rioted, they looted. The police was nowhere to be seen. We were citizens defending neighborhoods with guns and ammunitions
Wow.
that you had for hunting. So after that, like we have a saying in Afrikaans, die koel was deur die kerk. The bullet went through the church and there's no turning back.
Mhm.
So the cool was through the kerk for me. Like my mom is there, my sister is there. I didn't leave with any anger or any hate, but I learned that vulnerability ripped my heart into pieces that was still burning. You know, and I can understand how that can happen to people in many situations, but for ours, I don't think it was justified, and I wasn't going to let that happen again. So we decided to come to San Antonio, Texas, where grandma is.
That's awesome. So your wife's mom is here
Correct.
and she gets to see your kids grow up.
The only two grandbabies on this side of the family. And I tell you, she reminds me at least every other day that her life is fulfilled and she's happy, and
Yeah,
she's
that's
never been
great.
happier. And it's happy. It makes my heart happy to see her like that and to see her daughter being able to care for her. That makes everything worth it. Even though it's a struggle, we've only been here 3 years. It's a big adaptation for the kids, the family, financial, mentally. But those little moments, seeing my wife happy to look after her mom, and her being happy to be with her grandchildren and building that part of the family, it's worth every second of the battles that I face daily.
Thank you for sharing that. We're going to talk more about the problems in South Africa after this break. Joseph will chime in and we'll talk about some tough issues. Be right back. Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt here with Johan. Say your last name.
Coetzee.
Coetzee. He's from South Africa. We have a real life experience in the station right now, and Joseph is joining us because he's interested in what the problems there are and how to help people. So Joseph, tell us how you were introduced to some of the problems in South Africa.
Yeah, it's not something I follow or something you hear about much in the United States. We're very much like, in our own little world, I would say, in the United States. Now, my daughter was a huge fan of a gospel singer from Nigeria. And I was thinking more just like Africa, how things are in Africa, named Ty Bello. And what happened with her is she had moved into, I think she's here in America. She moved out of Nigeria, but a lot of her family was killed in a church raid. And she was actually holding like a benefit concert for them. But it was really sad to hear that, my 2-year-old daughter is a big fan of this gospel singer. And, a lot of her family was killed in a church raid. And to think about, we don't really deal with that type of persecution in the United States. We're blessed in that way. But I kind of wanted to see, how is that? Are there tensions there? Does that reach South Africa? Or have you seen anything like that? Or?
Well, to answer your question, in South Africa, we have we call ourselves the Rainbow Nation, and that goes for ethnic groups and as well as religious beliefs. There's mosques. You can almost at any point in any town hear the mosque going off at midday when they start praying. There's a lot of Dutch Reformed churches for the Afrikaans people. There's a lot of Catholic churches for the English-speaking Afrikaner South Africans. There is a lot of Islamic people, but I worked my whole high school for an Islamic family. They taught me how to repair cell phones, and it was pocket money. I ate with them. Beautiful multicultural situation in South Africa. How it hit us is a few years ago. One of my best friends, I was a commercial diver with him. The Islamic extremists is up in the northern part of Africa. Now that's very far from us, but it's coming down and down and down. So sub-Saharan is more Christian-based faiths, and north of the Sahara is Islam. A lot of Muslims, and that is spilling over. My friend Adrian Nell was killed by Islamic militants in Palma in Mozambique. In a raid where they took over the city. They wanted to take over the Total plant that was there. So it's on our borders. We as South Africans, I hope as a nation, we fight to keep it out because we are peaceful in our religion. I was very sad to hear that the first satanic church opened in Cape Town. The first satanic church in the world opened in Cape Town under our noses. That was very disturbing for me. We are a very godly nation.
Yeah.
Most of us, black, white, Indian, get religious upbringing. God is part of our upbringing. But yeah, do we fear religious persecution? Not at the moment, but it's definitely on our borders. And I think religion in the north is used as a weapon. And we can see that, you have a few examples, and you are correct when you say the United States is its own little world. But it's definitely something that is coming to our doorstep in South Africa.
Oh, wow.
So is that any way related to what's happening to farmers?
So I think no. Look, the farmers are mostly godly people. Sadly, most of these farms attacks happens when they come back from church on a Sunday. The stories that they got the same thread. Came back from church, got attacked as they came into the house. And there's many different ones. That's just a common thread that you hear. I don't think they are persecuted for being religious. No, because like I say, most people, black and white, have a religious background and a religious foundation. Something so brutal, and to kill people and drill through them and torture them and rape them and kill them in such a brutal way. And I think that is what makes it a little bit different. Crime happens to everybody. There's a lot of people being murdered, but nobody is being murdered like these people. I mean, there's that British lady that made the documentary. There's quite a few documentaries. You can go and see if you can stomach it, but you can never unsee this. Remember that one thing. If you've seen this, you can never unsee it. And it happened to people close to me. It was never the reason why I left. Because while you are there, you pray and you are strong and you are resilient, and this is your place. Nobody's going to unseat you. You don't know what it is like, what it is like to sleep a full night without hearing the dogs bark and the leaves going, and then getting up and knowing, oh, there's somebody in the yard. You don't know that. That's part of your genetics. It's your job as a man to go and lock the doors, close the windows. Everything's got burglar bars. Make sure the electric fence is up and running, and gates are closed and locked. That's part of it. You don't know what is different if you are used to that. So we got robbed twice in the year before we came here while we were in the house. But that still, again, was not the reason why I left. I was willing to face all of that. I felt strong in faith. I feel a lot stronger in faith now, when I was baptized in a little bit of fire in the United States. Sometimes, humans like to learn through trauma, and trauma brings you closer to our Maker. But to get back to your question, I do not think religion is got anything to do with farmers being murdered or any type of a violent criminal behavior in South Africa. I think it's a lack of religion in some parts, people that forgot and people who don't belong. So yeah, in that instance, yes, religion maybe a loss of faith, but definitely not persecution because of your faith.
Is it about apartheid? Is it about racism?
I think that's a lot to do with the hate. Like, why wouldn't you just rob somebody and kill them? Why would you torture them for hours and hours and rape the woman in front of the children and the father and torture them for hours? Why would you do that if there is no anger involved? If you just wanted to rob and go, why would you do this?
Right.
This is hate-based. This is to do with political. So there we don't need the media to do the brainwashing. There the politicians brainwash the people and keep them angry, and they use this land thing. Land. Yes, there's a lot of land, but if they didn't loot the coffers, they could do the redistribution process instead of doing land redistribution without compensation. This bill got passed just a few months back, and I think that is unfair. Once again, those people, that is their livelihood. That's what they know. Whether or not some of them bought it and have the things with what they paid for it, or who, and it worked well until the land bank went bankrupt. It worked well. Willing buyer, willing seller worked well. I know a lot of people who sold their farms, and now they are being murdered for their farms because the government can't buy it. The ones that they did buy, government officials stole and run them to the ground. Many of these farms ends up in government officials' hands instead of the family who claimed it. Because if your family are from there and there's graves there, you want to come back to your land. The government gets involved. They give the farmer an offer. The offer gets accepted or negotiated. There's a value achieved, and the government buys it. The farmer goes, the family moves in. That's not the case in most of the cases. It gets stolen, and it's infighting that makes it not a success. It's a sad situation.
Tragic.
Yeah.
Lots of these farms is being bought up. You can go look at it, the famous tea farm in Tsanin. They've tried to revive it, the export farm. Year after year, it needs to be bailed out because the people move in, but they don't have the knowledge. They don't get help from the government to farm this. You were the farmer.
That's a really complicated situation. I mean, we need another hour.
Yes, definitely.
But the last question I have to ask you is, because Marquardt Law Firm sponsors the show, and it's all about legacy.
Yes.
So what would you say
now,
legacy
it's time for the
means
Talk
to you?
Law Radio Legacy Spotlight. What's your legacy?
Well, legacy
Sponsored by
normally
Marquardt Law Firm.
something that in my head, it's the legacy that you leave. It's what you want to be remembered for. It is seeds that you sow. I hope that I can sow enough seeds in the people and the people that is in contact with me, my family, my friends. Bring about impeccable integrity. Check yourself. check yourself against God. Check yourself against Jesus. Meet that guy. Meet him. He's the best friend you will ever have. I want the legacy to be that we can all do this. We can be together. We don't have to be down each other's throats. We don't have to be sheep for the wrong sheep herder.
Are
Yeah.
these lessons you teach your kids?
I try to. My kids are too clever. They don't learn from me. Everything I tell them is, I know, Dad. I know, Dad.
Right.
No, but I do. I do. Yes. Mom mostly. I'm the backup singer. Also teaches me integrity.
She has a strong faith as well.
Exceptionally strong faith.
Awesome.
She is our
Awesome.
anchor in faith. Yes.
Great. Well, this show is part of your legacy now, because
I'm
the
grateful.
kids will be able to listen to this and hear how passionate their dad was about making things right in the world. I think that's really
Yeah.
awesome.
Thank you.
Well, we have to end the show. Joseph, thank you for joining us. I
course.
hope that you learned something.
I did, yeah. A lot.
And Johan, say your last name again.
Coetzee.
Coetzee. And this is Talk Law Radio. We'll talk to you later.
Most families don't realize they have hidden legal blind spots until it's too late. Wills, trusts, Medicaid planning, even protecting a business. These are the kinds of issues attorney Todd Marquardt helps uncover before they become problems. Todd is the host of Talk Law Radio, where each week he guides listeners through the legal challenges families, veterans, and business owners face, while showing them the practical steps to protect what matters most. Catch Talk Law Radio, Saturdays at 11 a.m. on 9:30 a.m. The Answer, 6:30 a.m. The Word, and now in Houston on AM 1070 and 103.3 FM The Answer, or anytime on YouTube. Planning isn't just about documents. It's about peace of mind, security for loved ones, and building a legacy that lasts. Don't wait for a crisis. Do it before you die.